Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful, had something to say about Bitcoin, and his title apparently was "People Have No Idea What's Coming." So I gotta go through this because some of the things he said were quite interesting. I don't agree with a lot of what he said, but I agree with a little bit. But I think it's important that we go over this so that we give a little bit more perspective. So, without further ado, here is Mr. Wonderful.
When the market changes and the information changes, I change. My decision as an investor is to get involved now before it becomes regulated. When it does get regulated, these assets. I look at it very simply, and I've said this many times before, but I'll reiterate it again. I don't consider Bitcoin to be a coin at all. Bitcoin is software. Solana software, Polygon software, Avalanche software. These are software projects. And in the long run, if you believe that this productivity, primarily aimed at financial services, that's what it really is, which is the largest sector globally, is going to bring value, then you have to think about crypto as being the 12th sector of the S&P one day, which is the way I look at it. And so my decision as an investor is to get involved now before it becomes regulated, because
he talked about, so he said a few things there. First off, he said that all crypto projects are nothing but software, right? That's one way to look at it. You could say that it is nothing but software because it is software that's running. There's lots of other things out there that run software. He went on to say that crypto itself would be another sector of the S&P, perhaps one day. Don't know. Still, I think that it's interesting that he says it's software. Keep that in mind as we go on, okay? Because this is just software, folks. They're nothing but software projects. Let's see what he has to say now.
My long-term belief is that when it does get regulated, and I'm talking primarily about the U.S. market, there's going to be an inflow, a very large inflow of institutional capital into all of these assets. Now, you can't know with certainty who the winners are going to be, and that's why you need a diversified portfolio. So I've got a very large selection of different projects in my portfolio, about 32 of them. So different tokens, coins, equities of software companies like WonderFi, like BitBuy, like Coinberry. And to me, that's all the infrastructure. I mean, you've got to have compliant platforms if you're ever going to let this be something that the everyday person can use.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there. So this is where I kind of don't agree with him on this point. So he's clearly taking this fisherman's net kind of approach to crypto. He's like, I'm going to throw this giant net and hopefully I'll catch some fish, right? Is the sort of approach that he's taking where he doesn't really know who the winners are. So he's into 32 different things already. And I think that his point about it's all going to become regulated and you need to have this infrastructure in order to be able to make it so that everyday people can be able to get in. False. That is absolutely false. If people want to get in, they will get in. I don't know if you remember the days of early internet, but if anybody wanted to get on the internet, it was a painful experience, okay? And even when you look at crypto today, a lot of people will say it's a painful experience. But if they want to get in, they're going to get in. What's going to take crypto to the next level is going to be as more and more of the craziness that's happening with the inflation and what governments are doing to money are getting to a point where people are beginning to realize, like, hey, the value of my money has just disappeared. How did that happen? Well, all these billionaires and trillionaires are trillionaires. Yeah, that'll be soon. Billionaires are all getting all the money before, and they're getting richer while I'm losing. And they start to look for alternatives, which has never been available in the past. Up until now, until Bitcoin, you didn't have a choice. You would have to deal with what your government did to your currency and live with it. Today, though, you have a choice. You have Bitcoin. So as people get smarter to what's going on, they're going to look to switch. However difficult that might be, however, they say, oh, it's complicated. If somebody really wants it, they'll have it, right? I don't buy this, you're going to need to make it this way so that the masses get in. That's like a marketing ploy, right? It's like, no, we have to regulate this so everybody can get. No, you don't. Bitcoin is self-regulating. Most cryptocurrencies, of the ones that he talked about, some of them aren't necessarily self-regulating. Some of them are rather centralized. And my personal belief is that the centralized entities are going to just disappear. Whereas the decentralized ones, the ones that have the unstoppable element to them, the ones that can't be censored, are the ones that are going to have the staying power to be able to resist tyranny. And I know that tyranny sounds like a strong word for it, but we've seen firsthand what that looks like, especially here in Canada, where we've had a government that used its authority to be able to literally take away people's bank accounts because they didn't like them. That's all it was. Like they didn't like that they were actually giving to a cause and a cause they disagreed with. So they took away their financial ability to be able to pay their rent, to be able to pay their mortgage, to be able to feed their families. Like that is tyranny. That is the definition of tyranny. And so if that can happen in Canada, you can imagine what's happening in some other countries that aren't considered to be as democratic or liberal as Canada is. So this is coming, folks, because that is the state of where money is at. That's the state of where the economy is at. Economic value in fiat has run its cycle. Now, the governments are scrambling to be able to try to keep this boat floating. And a lot of them now think that the CBDCs are going to be the answer. It's not. It's still fiat.